Do you really have a choice? Imagine this. You're standing in front of two doors. One leads to a future where you accept a job offer, the other to a future where you turn it down. You agonize over the decision, weighing the pros and cons, believing that whatever choice you make is yours and yours alone. But what if it wasn't? Robert M. Sapolsky's determined. A science of life without free will takes us down a mind-bending path, arguing that every decision we make, whether to eat a salad or a burger, whether to forgive or hold a grudge, was never truly ours to begin with. It was shaped by our genetics, our upbringing, the experiences we've had, and even the hormones surging through our bodies at that very moment. If that's true, then what does it mean for morality, justice, and human relationships? Let's dive into 5 powerful lessons from Determined. Lessons that might just change the way you see the world. You are not in control, and you never were. Think about the last time you got angry. Maybe someone cut you off in traffic, or a coworker took credit for your idea. You felt the anger rise, your heart race, your fists clench. You chose to react, right? Sapolsky would say no. Your reaction was years in the making, shaped by how your brain was wired, how you were raised, the culture you grew up in, and even what you ate for breakfast that morning. Scientists have found that something as simple as low blood sugar can make people more irritable. A lack of sleep can make a kind person snap. Even traumatic experiences from childhood can shape how we respond to conflict decades later. So, if all of our actions are the result of forces beyond our control, do we really have free will? Or are we just passengers in a car that's already driving itself? If no one has free will, can we still blame people? In 2019, a man in Texas was convicted of a violent crime, but there was something unusual about his case. Doctors discovered a tumor pressing against his brain, specifically in the area that controls impulse and aggression. When the tumor was removed, his violent behavior stopped entirely. So, was he guilty? Or was he just unlucky? This is the dilemma Determined forces us to confront. If our actions are determined by our biology and environment, then how much responsibility do we actually bear for them? A student who fails a test might not be lazy. Maybe they grew up in poverty, with no quiet place to study. A thief might not be immoral. Maybe they were raised in a neighborhood where survival meant stealing. If we understand that people are shaped by forces beyond their control, should we judge them less harshly? Or would society crumble without accountability? Rethinking crime and punishment. Imagine a prison. Rows of cells, people locked away for years, some for life. The justice system operates on the idea that criminals chose to break the law and deserve to be punished. But what if crime isn't a choice? Studies show that people born with certain brain structures are more likely to take risks. Children who grow up in abusive households are more likely to commit crimes. Even exposure to lead in childhood has been linked to higher aggression levels later in life. If all these factors push someone toward crime, does punishing them really fix the problem? Sapolsky suggests a radical shift. Instead of focusing on punishment, what if we focused on prevention? What if, instead of simply locking people up, we invested in better education, mental health care, and economic opportunities? If we understand what causes crime, we might be able to stop it before it happens. So, is justice really about punishing wrongdoing, or about preventing it in the first place? 4. What happens to morality? If free will is a lie, imagine you're on a jury, deciding whether a person should go to prison for life. You listen to the arguments, weigh the evidence, and prepare to cast your vote. You believe you're making a moral choice. But here's the twist. That decision, the way you judge others, the ethics you believe in, was shaped long before you even entered the courtroom. Sapolsky forces us to ask difficult questions. If morality is just a product of our biology and environment, then is there really such a thing as good and evil? Are people born kind, Or are they made kind by their circumstances? And if we understand that everyone is a product of forces beyond their control, does that make morality meaningless? Or does it make us more compassionate? The key to a kinder world. Understanding, not judgment. A homeless man sits on the sidewalk, holding a cardboard sign. A passerby scoffs, thinking, why doesn't he just get a job? But determined invites us to take a step back. Maybe that man grew up in foster care, never had stability, never had a chance. Maybe he has a mental illness that makes working impossible. Maybe he's not lazy. Maybe he's lost. If we accept that people are shaped by forces beyond their control, then suddenly, judgment turns into curiosity, anger turns into empathy. Instead of asking, what's wrong with this person? We might start asking, what happened to them? So, what now? Sapolsky's argument is unsettling. If free will is an illusion, then everything we believe about choice, morality, and justice needs to be rethought. But his message isn't one of despair, it's one of hope. Because if we understand what truly drives human behavior, we can stop blaming and start fixing. We can create a world that's not just fairer, but kinder. The next time you find yourself judging someone, whether it's a stranger, a coworker, or even yourself, pause. Ask yourself, if I had lived their life, would I really be any different? Because according to Determined, the answer might be no.